It was the fall of 2011 when Josh, a 35-year-old night shift nurse, drove home through the winding back roads of rural Vermont. His usual route had been closed due to a rock slide, so he took an old bypass known as Lantern Hill Road, a stretch locals warned about mostly because of the wildlife, not the ghosts. It was just after 3 a.m. Fog clung low to the asphalt, thick like soup, and Josh's headlights cut pale yellow cones through the darkness. The road curled tightly between forest and cliff, no guardrails. He was going slow, careful, humming to himself to stay awake. That's when he saw it. A boy, couldn't have been older than 8, standing in the middle of the road. No shoes, dirty jeans, a tattered hoodie zipped all the way to the top. Josh slammed the brakes, tires squealing as the car fishtailed slightly before jerking to a stop just yards from the child. Josh's heart pounded. He leaned over, rolled down the passenger window. "Hey, are you all right? What are you doing out here?" The boy didn't answer. He just stared, wide-eyed. There was something wrong with his expression. Too still, too blank, like he wasn't seeing Josh at all. Josh reached for his phone, hands trembling. No signal, just one bar blinking and vanishing like a cruel tease. He debated getting out of the car. Every logical part of him screamed no, but his nurse instincts won out. He stepped out slowly, the night air sharp against his skin. The road was silent except for the wind rustling the trees above. The boy remained motionless. "Hey, buddy, where's your family?" Josh asked gently, kneeling down just a bit. The boy finally moved, his eyes shifting slightly, his lips parting. "They went looking for the light," he whispered. Josh blinked. The light? But before he could ask more, the boy turned sharply and sprinted into the woods. "Hey, wait!" Josh chased after him instinctively, flashlight drawn from his car. The beam bounced wildly off tree trunks and low brush as he pushed through the dark forest. Branches scratched his arms and the fog thickened, swirling unnaturally around his ankles. Then, movement. He caught a flash of the hoodie ahead, then it vanished again. "Kid, come back! It's dangerous out here!" No answer, just the growing sensation that something was terribly wrong. Josh finally stopped in a small clearing surrounded by twisted trees. He turned in a slow circle, breath catching in his throat. That's when he saw it, something glowing faintly ahead. A lantern, old and rusty, hanging from a crooked metal post in the middle of nowhere. It swayed gently even though there was no wind. And just beneath it, bare feet, small, motionless. Josh raised his flashlight. The boy was standing under the lantern, facing away from him. He stepped forward cautiously. "It's okay, I can help. Let's get you someplace warm." But as he approached, the boy slowly turned. His eyes weren't right, too dark, too deep, and his mouth open, but no sound came out, just a low, shrill noise, like metal scraping metal, erupted from the surrounding trees. Josh stumbled back, panicked. The lantern's light flared suddenly bright, and then it went out. Complete darkness swallowed the clearing. Josh ran. He didn't look back. He didn't care about the branches tearing his skin or the way the fog felt alive, wrapping around his legs. He just kept running until he burst back onto the road, gasping, sweating. But something was wrong. His car, it was gone. The road was empty, silent, and then a voice behind him.
"You shouldn't have followed."
Josh spun around, but no one was there. He walked for hours that night until a county patrol spotted him near dawn, wandering along the highway 5 miles from where he last remembered being. When they found his car later, it was parked neatly on the shoulder of Lantern Hill Road, engine off, doors locked. No damage, no signs of struggle.
But in the passenger seat, resting on the worn leather upholstery, was an old, rusted lantern.
It hadn't been there before. Josh quit his job that winter, moved back to the city, told himself it was stress, fatigue, maybe even a dream. But every year around the first cold snap of fall, his phone rings once in the dead of night. Just one ring, no number.
And when he answers,
there's only the sound of metal scraping in the distance. In the summer of 2018, Lila was driving home from her sister's cabin in northern Washington. It was supposed to be a quick weekend getaway, just her, the woods, and some overdue quiet. But she left late, and by the time she hit the county roads, it was close to 1 a.m. There were no streetlights, just miles of black pine and winding pavement. Her GPS routed her through back roads she didn't recognize, one-lane roads with no shoulder, barely maintained. And then, the bridge. A narrow, weathered steel bridge arched over a pitch-black creek. Her headlights reflected off rusted beams and wooden planks that looked too old to trust. A weathered sign flashed past her window. Marrow Creek Bridge, one vehicle at a time. Halfway across, Lila slowed down. That's when she saw her. A little girl, no older than 6, standing dead center on the bridge. Her dress was old-fashioned, lace at the collar, muddy hem, and bare feet coated in grime. Her hair clung to her cheeks, soaked from the mist hanging in the air. Lila's stomach dropped. She hit the brakes, rolled her window down a crack. "Sweetie, are you lost?" No reply. The girl just tilted her head slightly, not curious, not afraid, just wrong. Lila put the car in park, debating what to do. No phone signal, no other cars, just the echo of running water below and crickets screaming in the woods. She stepped out slowly, hands raised. "It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you. I can help you." Still no reaction. But then, movement. The girl turned around and walked straight off the bridge. Lila screamed and rushed forward, expecting to see her fall into the creek. But when she reached the edge, there was nothing. No splash, no ripples, just fog curling above the black surface like breath. And then, the girl was standing behind her. Lila spun around in a panic, but the bridge was empty again. She backed toward her car, heart hammering, mouth dry. Just get in. Just drive. As she reached for the door handle, she noticed something. Wet footprints on the roof. Tiny, bare. They trailed across the car like someone had walked over it barefoot and were still fresh. Lila flung open the door and slammed it shut behind her. She locked every door and hit the gas. She didn't look back, but her rearview mirror showed her enough, just for a second. The girl was sitting in the middle of the road, facing away from her, arms wrapped around her knees. And then, a second figure stepped out of the woods. Another child, a boy, maybe 5, holding something in his hand. A rope. Lila drove the rest of the night without stopping, didn't even realize she was crying until her vision blurred. The next day, back in cell range, she searched the bridge's name out of morbid curiosity. Marrow Creek Bridge, 1957. 2 children had gone missing near the creek. Siblings, a girl in a white dress and her younger brother. Some believed they ran away. Others said their parents had done something horrible, but their bodies were never found. Except for one thing. A doll made of rope was discovered on the bridge, soaked through and tied in a noose. Local legend claimed the children never left, that they appeared to travelers who drove too late and stopped too long, especially the kind-hearted ones, the kind that would get out of the car. Lila doesn't drive alone at night anymore, and she never, ever takes a bridge without honking first, because sometimes they answer back, and sometimes it's not a horn that returns the sound. Sometimes it's laughter. Tom Ramirez had worked the graveyard shift for over a decade. He was a security guard at a logistics warehouse outside El Paso. The hours were long, the nights were quiet, and the drive home around 4:30 a.m. was usually the most peaceful part of his day. Nothing but the hum of tires on asphalt and the desert stars overhead. Until the morning of March 6th. His regular highway route was shut down due to a tanker spill, and traffic was being redirected through rural backroads that twisted through old ghost towns and ranch land. That's how Tom found himself on Ash Lane, a faded, pothole-ridden road lined with dry brush and sagging barbed wire fencing. It was cold that morning, the kind of desert cold that feels sharper than winter in the city. He turned up the heat in his car and kept driving, eyes scanning for signs. That's when he noticed something strange. He hadn't seen a single vehicle in over 15 minutes. No headlights, no taillights, just the road and dust. And then, just beyond a bend, his headlights lit up a figure. A small boy stood in the middle of the lane, shirtless, feet black with dirt. His jeans looked decades old, torn at the cuffs. He stood still as stone, arms slack at his sides, head slightly tilted. Tom hit the brakes hard and swerved. He missed the boy by inches and skidded to a stop in a cloud of dust. Heart pounding, Tom threw the car into park and jumped out. "Hey, kid, are you okay?" No answer. The boy didn't move, didn't even blink. Tom walked closer, hands raised cautiously. "Where are your parents? Are you hurt?" The boy slowly raised one hand and pointed toward a barbed wire gate on the side of the road, half buried in sand and brush. "I'm not supposed to leave without them," the boy whispered. His voice was flat, cold, like he wasn't really talking to Tom. Tom's skin crawled. "You shouldn't be out here. It's dangerous." He hesitated, then said, "Come on, let's go to the car. We'll call someone, all right?" The boy blinked once. Then, without a word, he turned and walked through the gate, into the darkness beyond. Tom stood frozen. The smart thing to do would have been to get in the car, drive, forget it happened. But something tugged at him. Guilt. That gnawing need to make sure the boy was safe, so he followed. Just past the fence, he saw something strange. Old ruins, what looked like the remains of a house or barn, charred wood, rusted nails, and half sunken into the dirt, the skeletal frame of a child-sized bed. Tom called out again. "Kid, this isn't funny, you need help." That's when he saw the footprints, small, bare, leading in a wide circle that ended right behind him. Tom whipped around, nothing. But then he heard breathing, low, raspy, just inches from his ear. He spun and flashed his phone light wildly. The boy was there, but he wasn't the same. His face was expressionless. His mouth hung slightly open, and his eyes were pitch black, not shadowed, not sunken, just hollow, like burned out holes. And then the boy whispered something Tom would never forget. "I only need one more." The ground under Tom's feet shifted. He stumbled back and fell into the dust, flashlight scattering to the side. The ruins around him looked different now, no longer just charred. They were smoldering. Fresh smoke curled into the air. He heard distant screams. Children, a woman, fire crackling. He scrambled to his feet and bolted for the car, crashing through the gate, lungs burning. He didn't look back, didn't stop running until he was back behind the wheel, door locked, engine roaring. He floored it down the road, speeding blindly. He didn't stop until he hit the main highway. Tom didn't sleep for 2 nights. Couldn't. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw those empty sockets, heard that awful whisper. But what really shook him came a few days later, when curiosity got the better of him. He looked up Ash Lane, tried to see if anyone else had seen the boy, and he found it. An old newspaper article from 1979. A fire on a small ranch outside El Paso had killed 3 children and their mother. No foul play was confirmed. The fire was blamed on a gas heater, but one quote stood out from a surviving uncle. He used to talk to someone in the road, a boy with no eyes, said he'd promised to bring him brothers. Tom never drove that way again. He moved jobs 6 months later and avoids the desert after dark. But once, a few weeks after the incident, Tom took his car in for routine cleaning. The attendant came out looking pale. "Hey, did you spill something in your trunk?" Tom frowned. "What do you mean?" The man stepped aside. In the trunk, on the inside of the lid, someone had scrawled 4 words in the dust. "Now you are mine."